Sheila and say that we missed you all very much, but we were happy with vacation too. We got an opportunity to spend time with our 3 children and our 3 grandchildren and just enjoyed ourselves thoroughly. It was a long time that we just enjoyed and needed as well. But we're glad to be back. I leaned over during the singing, when we were singing the hymn, and I said, goodness, this is such a singing church. Truly, the sound of your voices is so glorious. I'm sure, when we begin to worship, God hushes the angels and says, hang on a minute, Captain, worship. Truly, just so blessed to be here and back with you all. Just an announcement or two. Thanksgiving Sunday for us is the 14th of October, always the second Sunday in October, so you can count that. I was so encouraged also by your wonderful response to the relief rehabilitation work in Kerala. Given so graciously and generously. I'm going to be traveling there this week, seeing what's going to happen there. We're so blessed to connect with Thomas and Sumo, and some of you may know them. They're members of the church here for many years and are now there in Kochi and connected with them. They went and spent a lot of time looking at places that hadn't got help, and finally decided that this area was a place that we can help in. So when I come back this week, I'll have reports of how that went, and also hope to get some pictures. I also want to say that choir practice will start from next week. Okay, so if you require, just remember that as well. All right, if you have your Bibles, will you turn with me to Psalm 143. Psalm 143. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my supplications. Answer me in thy faithfulness, in thy righteousness, and do not enter into judgment with thy servant. For in thy sight no man living is righteous. For the enemy has persecuted my soul. He has crushed my life to the ground. He has made me dwell in dark places, like those who have long been dead. Therefore my spirit is overwhelmed within me. My heart is appalled within me. I remember the days of old. I meditate on all thy doings. I muse on the work of thy hands. I stretch out my hands to thee. My soul longs for thee as a parched land. Answer me quickly, O Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide thy face from me, lest I become like those who go down to the pit. Let me hear thy loving kindness in the morning, for I trust in thee. Teach me the way in which I should walk, for to thee I lift up my soul. Deliver me, O Lord, from my enemies. I take refuge in thee. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Let thy good spirit lead me on level ground. For the sake of thy name, O Lord, revive me. In thy righteousness bring my soul out of trouble, and in thy loving kindness cut off my enemies, and destroy all those who afflict my soul. For I am thy servant. For I am thy servant. We pray with me. Heavenly Father, would you speak, Master? Would you, through your Holy Spirit, inspire our thoughts? Would you connect us with your Spirit and your thoughts? Would you help us to engage with you and, Lord, ultimately see that our will is aligned with your holy will this morning. Lord, we pray that each and everything that you put upon our hearts, Master, we would embrace. For we pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden many years ago, saying this: the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And what he was alluding to was that for the most part, a lot of us fall in this category of accepting our situations for what they are and then taking on a state of resignation, of saying, "Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. This is my lot, there's nothing I can do about it, and so I'm just going to go through life with this on my back." Just living lives with quiet desperation. And I think that for us as Christians, or for us as sons and daughters of God, that this cannot be a place that we land on. It cannot. It cannot be. Desperation and resignation cannot be places that you and I as Christians can come to and say, "This is my lot and I'm just going to love it like it." I mean, I just go through the motions. Every day I get up and just do what I need to do. That cannot be the lot of a Christian. Because for us as Christians, we take every situation and circumstance and say, if God has allowed it, there's a purpose. And if there's a divine purpose for everything that comes to us, then it must be something that is good. And we look at those things as good because God is still in control. We don't live lives of quiet desperation. We live lives of anticipation. We live lives of joyful acceptance of our situations and circumstances, knowing that even if we are under those situations and circumstances, God is above. That gives us the strength to look at each day with hope, to look at each day with anticipation. So when we look at this psalm, I think it starts with a place of, Lord, I'm in this place. How do I navigate through it? And I believe that even if we start with a place of quiet desperation, and maybe that's where some of you are today, that there's a sense of resignation about where you are and what you're doing. But I believe that we can find our way through this psalm to a stronger place, a more stable place, a place of greater acceptance. So let's look at the psalm together. I'm just going to kind of divvy it up. As I looked at it, I find that there are 4 questions that immediately come to need to be asked. 4 questions that when we answer them, give us or take us through these 12 verses. The 4 questions are these. Number 1, what is happening to me? What is happening to me? 2, what do I do? What's my response to what is happening to me? Number 3, what do I want God to do in the situation? What do I want God to do in the situation that I'm facing? And then number 4, why should God do any of this? Why should He respond in any way? Why should God do any of this? Let's take the first question. What is happening to me? Let's look at what was going on in David's life, and then we'll see whether it in any way touches our own. He says, "My enemies have persecuted my soul. They've crushed my life to the ground. They've made me dwell in dark places like those who have long been dead. My spirit is overwhelmed. My spirit fails," in verse 7. All of these things, he says, are what's going on with you. Now let's move away from David and the pages of antiquity and ask ourselves the question, can I resonate with any of this? The first thing is, my enemy is persecuting my soul. My enemy is persecuting my soul. And when you look at that, it's very possible that we have people around us, quote unquote enemies, but people who have more power, who can exploit you, who circumstantially are above you, who are able to make your life miserable, who can quote unquote persecute you. I know just from this congregation, and I know the congregation at CAC, specific instances of a couple of people who had ridicule and scorn just poured out on them every day in all the works that they did. Whatever they turned in was ridicule. Was never good enough for the person above them, for the boss they were reporting to. Made their life completely miserable. Every day they went in with a sense of, Lord, help me. and then came out at the end of it saying, my goodness, okay, that's one day that is over. I know another who has been posted in the last 1 year to 4 places just because his boss has the ability to do so. Just when he gets settled into one place, he's pushed to another place. When he's settled there, he gets pushed to another place. Just because on the whim of his boss. So when you talk about persecution, it's very possible that there are some of you here who are enduring that kind of persecution, maybe even today. Maybe that's what you're going through. That every day you go into a situation of powerlessness and submit yourself to somebody who has more power than you, who can really make life miserable for you. And that's the first thing. It says, my enemies are persecuting my soul. And maybe this morning you're saying, that's me. That's me. I know exactly what you're talking about. Secondly, he has crushed my life to the ground. My life is crushed to the ground. You ever had that feeling? When everything seems to have fallen, you felt like the rug has been pulled out from under your feet. Bill Gaither wrote a song. We've come to know the chorus very well, but the verse is very rarely sung. And the verse goes like this: if there ever were dreams that were lofty and noble, they were my dreams at the start. And hope for life's best were the hopes that I harbored down deep in my heart. But my dreams turned to ashes, and my castles all crumbled, and my fortunes turned to loss. So I wrapped it all up in the rags of my life, and I laid it at the cross. You still have your dreams. You still have your castles. Or have they long since crumbled, love? Have you let go of them? Have you come to a point in your life where you say, those things really don't matter anymore? What matters is that I get through, that I live my life of quiet desperation. And he says, he has made me dwell in dark places, like those who have long been dead. The Hebrew or the Hebraic understanding of dark places is those places that are completely opposite from where God is. If I were to help you to understand that, it would be like asking, where is this abundant life that is promised to you? Where is it? I don't seem to sense any abundance in my life. I'm so far away from that these are just dark places of misery for me. And maybe that's where you are this morning as well. Maybe you're so far gone from what can be characterized as a joyful life that you've long lost the ability to laugh and smile or even recognize a joke. My spirit is overwhelmed, he goes on to say. My heart is appalled, my spirit fails. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever been in a place where you opened your eyes in the morning and then quickly closed it again because you were not ready for the day? That you just pull the covers back over you and say, there's nothing that I need to get up for this day. Nothing's going to change in my situation, in my life. It's an impressive, despondent feeling. And many of us have been there, isn't it? Where every morning doesn't offer hope. just a sense of futility. I may as well just close my eyes and stay in there. Nothing productive is going to happen in my life. Beloved, this is where the psalmist pulls us. Where God would have us look at these situations and say, is this part of your life today? Are you going through these things? Are you part of this group of people who are being persecuted? Have no sense of future, of hope. Is that what is happening to you? Which leads us to the second question, which is, what do I do? What do I do in this situation? The psalmist kind of moves us straight into it in this verse. When he says, I remember the days of old. I remember the days of old. I meditate on all thy doings. I muse on the work of thy hands. I stretch out my hands to thee. My soul longs for thee as a parched land. What he's saying is this, that for a moment, stop thinking about all that is going on in your life. Stop thinking about where you are. And then cast your mind's eye back to a place in your life where God came through for you. So remember the day when God's wonderful sense of provision came. Miraculously, you didn't expect it. You didn't know how this month was going to end. You didn't have the money to end it on the 28th of the month, but you reached the 31st. You don't know how. It happened. There may not have been provisions in the house, but the oil never ran out. Cast your mind's eye back to those points in time when God came through for you. Remember His provision. Remember healing that He brought to you, whether physical, spiritual, or emotional. Can you just think back to that time and say, my goodness, I never expected that I would ever get through that phase of my life, but I did. Remember how He helped you overcome a particular temptation and not to succumb to it. And it's been victory after victory after victory in that area ever since. Can you go back and remember that time? Say, my goodness, God broke the shackles that day. Maybe what you need to do is remember just a wonderful moment as you sang a hymn or a song during worship. Suddenly something like a ray of light came in and God broke into your existence, into your very being. And it was such an aha moment for you. Can you remember that? That's what the psalmist is saying. Stop thinking about where you are and what you're going through. Just for this moment, stop thinking and look back at the things that showcase God's solidity and dependability. Think about those things. And then we move to the third question. What do I want God to do? What do I want Him to do? The psalmist gives us about 5 or 6 things. In verse 7 he says, first, hear and answer me. Hear and answer me, Lord. Sometimes it's easy to accept the yes, you can do it, no, you cannot. But the ambiguity is when God says, not yet. Isn't it? And then we wait and say, Lord, what's happening? Tell me one way or the other, but He doesn't. And there's this waiting period that is so difficult. Hear what I'm going through, Lord, the psalmist says, and will you answer me? Secondly, in 8, verse 8, teach me the way in which I should walk. How do I traverse this journey? What kind of mindset do I need to have as I go through what I'm going through? How do I keep my faith still and rock solid even during this time? How do I keep my eyes focused on you? Teach me. Thirdly, revive me. Revive me. Lift me out of this place of depression. Lift me out of this place of despondency and despair. Lift me up and place me on solid ground that I can stand and know that you are here with me. Revive my spirit, my soul. Give me fresh impetus. Give me vision. Let me dream once again. Revive me, O Lord, from this place. And then bring me out of trouble, he says in verse 11. Bring me out of this trouble. Lord, let these days be over. Let these days be over. And that must be a prayer that we make, beloved. Whatever you're going through, don't ever accept it and say, okay, this is it. As long as God is on the throne, He can bring about change. I know so many prayers that have been answered, difficult situations in office spaces that have come through with testimonies that say, God came through for me. In a way that I couldn't believe, God came through for me. Bring me out of this trouble, Lord. Pray those kinds of prayers. And lastly, he says, cut me off from my enemies. I've had enough of this. I've had enough. Bring me into Canaan land. Bring me to that place where I can rest. What do we want God to do for us? Hear us, answer us, teach us, revive us, bring us out of trouble and keep our enemies away. Finally, we ask the question, why should God do anything? I like reading the psalm in a very truncated way. It just increases my faith. And I finish the psalm in exactly 3 seconds. You know how I read it? I read it like this. Hear my prayer, O Lord, give ear to my supplications, for I am thy servant. Young people, I am your servant. I am your responsibility. Lord, you take care of all that is going on in me. Me, I'm your servant. I'll be diligent, I'll be honest, I'll be obedient, I'll be loyal. But Lord, this phase of my life that I'm going through, Lord, you need to help me from us. Hear my prayer, O Lord, for I am your servant. Son, daughter of the Most High. Romans 8:28 puts it well, isn't it? Paul says, God will make all things work together for good to them that love Him and called according to His purposes. You ever wonder if you're called according to His purposes? If you're here in church, you'll be called according to God's purposes. Okay? Do you love Him? That's a question you need to answer. And if it's yes to both of them, beloved, God can make this situation that you're in, make it into something that is good. That you don't need to lead a life of quiet desperation, but you can live a life of hope and joyful acceptance, saying that as long as I'm going through the situation and know that God is above the situation, I will accept it with joy. That's why Paul, writing to the church at Philippi, writing from prison, says, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say to you, rejoice. Even though I'm in shackles here, and I can easily go down the tubes and be in depression and talk about the persecutors and all that I'm going through, I still say rejoice, because God is above the situations that I am facing. And beloved, that's true for you as well. If you've been able to resonate with the words of persecution and being crushed and being in a dark place and being overwhelmed and need to be revived, then you need to make this shift and say, Lord, I'm not going to focus on this. I will remember what you have done. And I will worry no more, because I will accept this situation because you're in control. Not out of resignation, oh, this is the most I can do, but joyfully, because you can make something good come out of this particular situation. And so look at your life, beloved, in and through new light. Look at those problems that face you and say, my goodness, God is going to make a pearl out of this sand that has been such a nuisance for me all these days, all these weeks, all these months. God is going to make something beautiful. And so I will celebrate it. That's why Paul also says that, therefore I will joy. I will take joy in the things that I am weak in, because in my weakness, God's strength is made perfect. Are you with me, church? Take those things that are troubling you. Take those things that you accepted and are saying, this is just going to be part of my life. And say, I will not accept it. I will not accept it. There's no going to be quiet desperation as far as I'm concerned. There's always going to be hope that arises within me because God is in control. There is no situation that I face that He is not about. Amen? Well, we've got to pray after a sermon like this, after words like this, thoughts like this. I believe God is here. God is saying, you've got to move from this place. And maybe this morning, you've resonated with all of these things, being crushed in spirit, being persecuted, just down and out. I believe God wants to just infuse us with His energy. And so as we close in prayer, if you walked into this place just feeling all these things that we've talked about, would you stand as we go to prayer? I'd like to pray for you that God would just move you from that place to a place of wonderful security, stability, and hope. Let's pray together. Please pray. Stand. Heavenly Father, how we thank you for the beauty of your presence in our midst. How we thank you for the way in which you take Scripture and, Lord, touch our hearts with it. Your word is a light, Master, and a lamp. Lord, we thank you for the way in which it has shown each of us that we don't need to be in places of resignation, Lord, but in places of hope, expectation, and anticipation for your will and purposes to unfold. Lord, for each one of these who stand here, Lord, in your presence, some way going through persecution or having life crushed or spirit overwhelmed, Master, I pray that you would come as a fresh wind, Master, that they will rise up on wings like eagles, that they will run and not be weary and walk and not faint. Lord, touch them with your Spirit. Let your breath come upon them, Master, that they would arise and know that they are in a good place, that somehow, suddenly, hope has arisen within them, that what seemed to be a dead end is no longer a dead end, because you control that place, Master. Lord, restore unto us the joy of our salvation, Master. Restore unto us, each one of us who are standing here, let joy flow back. Help us to see our situations through you. Let hope arise, Master. Oh, we love you and we pray this prayer in Jesus' precious name. Amen.